Nail by Ian Jones and Andy Edwards. Episode 4, The Medals. Thursday, September the 25th, 1936. Nail is resting on the low wall outside the Memorial Hall in Pontderw. He is reflecting on the sad events of the previous day. He has just finished a long walk along the riverbank and is waiting for the WI fundraising coffee morning to begin. Hardly slept last night. Kept thinking about poor Mrs. Cooper lying in the dirt. Claude was beside himself when he turned up at the house. "It was me," he said. "It was me should have been picking the veg." He berated himself. "Dratted septic toe, I should have been there when she needed me, Hobart." "Not your fault, Claude, not your fault." I tried to comfort him. WI fundraiser every Thursday. And today is no exception, even though all the ladies inside, griddling and filling the urn, are all shocked and upset by yesterday's events. Oh, lovely lady, generous, yes, spotless and proper tidy, and no nonsense with her, no fuss, lovely lady. There are only nice things to say about Mrs. Cooper, it seems. Went for a long walk this morning. Clear my head. Up at the crack of dawn, up Picton Hill through the woods to Nantlas. Across the fields and back along the Ishmael, past the old watermill and the two pools. Watched a couple of Sewin turn under the oak bridge and then chatted with old Tommy by his boat. Where the river hits the pebbles down below the church, I sat on the bank and watched a sparrowhawk chasing a kingfisher up and down the run. 3 or 4 times the sparrowhawk got close, but the kingfisher was too agile, flying inches above the water and then darting into the reeds to make its escape. I must have walked for about 3 hours in all, I think. Chilly first thing in mind. Bit warmer now though, to be honest. Wearing my new sleeveless jumper today. Aye. Mrs. John knitted it for me. Good of her, mind. What that woman can't make with wool and needles isn't worth knitting, I tell you. If I'm being absolutely honest, it's a little bit on the short side. Makes me look a bit like Billy Bunter, but I don't mind. Measure twice, knit once, my mother says. Mrs. John only measured once, I think to myself. Lovely woman, oh, she'll do anything for anyone, huh? Within reason, mind. I'll have to get her some flowers from the graveyard after. Or from Mrs. Griffith's garden when it goes dark. I'm only joking, man. I'm waiting for the nod from the women to say the urn is boiled. Cup of tea, piece of cake and a chat. Bit like the trenches. Not really. I put my hand into my pocket and pull out 3 war medals. Pip, Squeak and Wilfred. Not mine though, no. They belong to old Tommy. He asked me if I'd take them into town next week to see if I could pawn them. Drink he's after, I suppose. I might have a word with Billy O if I see him again. Perhaps he can help me out a bit. He seems to have got plenty of money. We'll see. As I'm looking at the medals, I hear a child's voice. "What did you do in the war, mister?" I look up and see Verden Griffiths, Margaret's son, standing in front of me with his hands in the pockets of his grey shorts. Strange name, Verden. Named after the battle, I suppose. He's only about 9 or 10, but confident little so-and-so. I ignore his question and put Tommy's medals back into my pocket. "How's your mother, boy?" I ask him. "She said you were rude to her on the bus yesterday, and my father says he's going to sort you out." I think about replying, but hold my tongue. He's only a youngster. "Is your father still out of work, boy?" "I'm not allowed to talk about my father," he says. "He gets angry." There's a brief silence, and he tries again. "What did you do in the war, mister? I want to know." I was a stretcher bearer, boy. But I don't like to think about the war. "Did you kill a German, mister? Did you stick a bayonet in a Turk?" I don't respond. "My father says Stinky Tom killed a German and cut a Turk's throat with a knife. My father says he's dangerous and we shouldn't go near him. My father says he drinks too much and he saw him being sick in the river this morning." "Aye, boy. Feeding a fish he was." "My father says he's a tramp and a thief, and my father—" "Stop now," I say loudly, and he stops. Tommy was a good friend of mine. I felt quite angry, but I held myself together. Verden's father had a lot to say about Tom, but he was hardly a paragon of virtue himself. Bloody wife beater, street fighter, thief himself, and a heavy drinker. Don't call him Dice Slug for nothing. They say he drank 30 shots in one day in the ship about 5 years ago. The local Bobby, Irick, book and pencil, found him sleeping in an open grave. "Who should have filled it in, Neil?" he said to me after. "What's the pox, mister?" says Verden. "My father said Stinky Tom's got the pox and you got the pox. He shouted at my friends in the park and he chased us." "Why did he shout, now, good boy?" My tone of voice is more aggressive and I'm getting angry now. He laughs and says, "We was singing the Stinky Tom song. Oh, Stinky Tom's a dirty tramp, and Stinky Tom is—" Well, I know I shouldn't have done it, but I did. I grabbed his arm and shook him. "Listen here, good boy. You should know better than to disrespect a veteran of the Great War." Verden begins to cry. "Let me go," he screeches. I loosen my grip, but I hold on to his arm. "I'm telling my mother and my father'll punch you out like he punched out Jack the Milk." "Listen," I say a little bit more calmly. "I was only cross because you were disrespecting a war veteran. I know how he looks, but he was a brave soldier. Saved a lot of men's lives. Yeah, look at these medals, boy. They belong to Tommy." I let his arm go, and to my relief, he doesn't run off. He looks at the medals. "What are they for?" he asks through his sobs. "Did he really kill a man with a bayonet and another man with a knife?" He was a medic, boy, and a trumpet player. A fine pair of lips on him. I didn't want to tell him about the time when Tommy was serving with the medical corps. He got stuck behind enemy lines and the only way to get out was hand-to-hand fighting, kill or be killed. He'd holed up in a barn overnight, but the farmer's children found him and they were going to raise the alarm. Tommy had to kill them all to make his escape. An entire family, mother, father, sister, brother. How do you live with that on your conscience? Kill or be killed? I'm not sure which one I'd have chosen, and I think Tommy sometimes wishes he'd made a different choice now. He's lucky. He's lucky to be out of St. David's. Tommy was a mess. Well, Tommy is a mess. It was true. He did live in that upturned boat. He did drink a lot. And he lost the plot now and again. Aye, all true, aye. But when you see these medals, it makes you wonder what he went through, what we all went through. Look, boy, see this one? I showed him the 1914-15 star. Tom had been a regular soldier before the war. This was awarded to those who served in the first year of the war, I tell the boy. Did he kill any Germans to get it? No, like I said, he was a musician and a medic. He was in the Royal Army Medical Corps. Look now, here's the British War Medal. See there? There's King George V. And on the back, that's St. George on horseback, trampling the eagle shield of the enemy, and a skull and crossbones as an emblem of death. Oh, says Verdun. Skull and crossbones. Yeah, death. Look now, here's the Victory Medal. It says on it, the Great War for Civilization, 1914-1919. Yeah, says the boy. Yeah. But they're only medals. You and Stinky Tom didn't kill any Germans to get them. I'll stay calm. Do you know about Remembrance Day, boy? Yeah, he says all cocky. 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month. Very good, I say. But when did the war end? Huh? He struggles. 11th hour, 11th month, 1911. He says and laughs awkwardly because he knows he's got it wrong. I grin at his twisted logic, but he doesn't like it. My father says you and Stinky Tom have got the pox. Did Stinky Tom get a medal for having the pox? And then he runs off, up the street towards the square, shouting, You got the pox! You got the pox! I think about chasing after him for a moment, but I'm saved by Mrs. Pierce. Oh, we're ready now, Neil, if you fancy a cup of tea and a chat. Oh, yes, please, I say, and walk towards the white doors of the Memorial Hall. I suppose he'll grow up one day. Someone said it's sweet and right to die for your country, and those same men were sacrificed, weren't they? To the lie of a war to end all wars. It's over for them. What about those who survived, eh? The war isn't over for them. Their fight goes on. Aye. Lest we forget, eh? Lest we forget.